Well, they did not allow me to do it, but that will not stop the industry from moving in that direction. It will happen, and we'll have to accept it, and it will be an additional enhancement. It'll only endow our income and will not take away from what we already have. Yes, your viewing pattern will differ from screen to screen, and you will have to refurbish your houses where you do business. You cannot lean back and say that I will not refurbish my business for 15 years and I want the same profits. You will have to clean up your act once in a while. This is, I'm talking to my fraternity now. It's from a monologue, it's now become a dialogue. And I can only tell my people to show a little more transparency. I'm talking about the South. The advent of multiplexes have brought about the required amount, a little bit of that transparency, which is very important for the success of this industry. It should also happen in the southern states, where the ticket prices for cinema is probably the lowest in the world. What happens when you do that is not facilitate the poor man to have great entertainment, but makes him pay in black and throw away the money elsewhere from where it should actually go to. So there are so many things that can happen, and I think we'll have to get our act together, enjoy all those reports that KPMG has prepared for us, and hope that we can better it next year. Thank you.
Animation and gaming sector. In fact, the animation and gaming sector, we feel, is another tremendous area which has got a lot of scope. And I'm very sure with your assistance, we are going to move further ahead on this.
Photo up. Please give a huge round of applause to our panelists, Srimati Josna Suri, Harit Nagpal, Ramesh Sethi, Kamal Hasan, Sri J.S. Mathur, Aamir Khan, Dr. Arvind Prasad. Thank you. I will now request Mr. Aamir Khan to remain on stage for a very sought after conversation that we are looking forward to have with him. To the next part of the inaugural, I now call upon Sonia Singh, Editorial Director, NDTV, one of my favorite people on television. I'm at the cost of sounding so patronizing. Thank you. I request the media to settle down so that we can move forward. Aamir sir, my Parsi uncle is convinced that PK was your poetic way of telling all of us that you're really an alien. Because of the rate at which you do things and how you do them. Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite actor, and I'm sure a lot of us have him as our favorite, Aamir Khan, in conversation with Sonia Singh.
Thank you.
It's a great honor to be here at the inaugural of FICCI Frames, and of course to be interviewing Aamir Khan. And Aamir, first, happy birthday and fabulous at 50.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Aamir, when you're here at this conference, and do you look back at, you've been now 3 decades in the industry as a young man who came in his mid-20s with his first film. When you look at how far the industry has come, when you are presented with KPMG reports, when you're talking about bottom line and how far this industry can go, what's your perspective on this?
You know, I have to say, I've never read the KPMG report, I'm afraid. I should. I know I should. But
I hope
also,
none of them are sitting here.
no, I mean that's the truth. I should. It's really, it's not good that I don't read stuff that is, related to my work. But the problem is that I get too lost in what I'm doing, and so when people talk about the business side of films or the media industry, I'm quite lost. I have no idea how to increase the business. I often, I really don't, because I get lost in stories, and that's what interests me. So I think pretty much in these last 25, 27 years that I've been working, it's just been my excitement towards the films that I'm doing. I do feel, however, I was listening to everyone speak, and it kind of sparked a lot of thoughts in my head. And we talk of economic growth for our country, and we all, I think everyone in this room has a dream, for what we want our country to be. All of us really have a dream in our hearts to see our country, where maybe our forefathers wanted it to be. And I feel that, especially during the research of SMJ, when I went through so many things, I learned a lot, and me and my team, we often discuss about this. We feel that, how do we achieve that dream? How do we, one of the observations that we have is that Indians, by and large, are, they take to hardware very quickly. Latest phones, we have it, latest computers, we have it. But the software is where I think the issue lies, is because we are the software. As a country, we believe that for economic growth, we have to have infrastructure and bridges or, whatever, various infrastructure, highways. We can build highways, we can build bridges, we can build dams, we can build all of that. But ultimately, we have to use it. As human beings, we have to use it. And that is where I feel the crux of the matter is. For example, when I leave my house and I'm at Linking Road and I'm at a traffic jam, or rather there's evening, traffic, invariably somebody will go from the right of me and try and go from the other side of the traffic. And then that causes a traffic jam, which then you're blocked for 4-5 hours. Now that is us. So somehow, if we really want to achieve the dream that we all have in our hearts, I think somewhere we need to look at the software of India. Instead of the hardware, we need to look at the software of India. How are we as people, and if that is where we can bring about a change, that is where the big change lies, is where I feel. I guess that's...
Just taking off on that point, because if you look at the software then of the film industry, television, communications, how do you involve, say, a spot boy as much as you do involve an Aamir Khan or a Kamal Hasan in looking at the stakes involved in pushing this as an industry, professionalizing it?
Actually, pushing it as an industry, I'm meaning it in a different way. I don't mean it in that way. I don't mean it in making more films or making more money out of the films or making the industry
more productive, perhaps.
That many more crores bigger. That's not how I'm looking at it. Because I feel that the opportunity is much larger than that. Mm-hmm. The opportunity that we have in front of us is much larger than that. For many years now, I've been feeling that what is our role as creative people? Or the people who are in the business of entertainment. What is our role? Whether you're on television or film, or you're a writer, painter, dancer, whatever you are as a creative person, what is your contribution to society? Sure, it is to entertain. Of course, that's our primary job, is to entertain people. But I don't know whether that stops there, or rather, I don't know whether it should stop there. I think one of the responsibilities that we could choose to shoulder is that we can bring about a dynamic change in society. That opportunity is there in front of us. It's up to us whether we want to take it or not. We can bring grace to society. We can build the social fabric of India. We can contribute to nation building in a very, very dynamic way. In what we choose to tell our children, in our stories, in our characters. I mean, if you look at the content coming out of our work for children's content, it's almost negligible. And the little that I see is very scary. The little that I see is my son watches sometimes, I sit with him and it kind of scares me to see the kind of children's content we're making. And I also found out that most of the kids, I think 80% of the kids are actually not watching children's content. They're watching content which their parents are watching. So not content made specially for children. What is that going to have an impact on a child's mind? You know, what kind of impact are we, what is the generation we are, how are we affecting a generation of kids? So we as an industry, we as a creative industry, as a media, have a huge opportunity in front of us. Huge opportunity in really building the nation with how we make people or make children perceive what is honesty. You know, today, unfortunately, now we are in a time where people, dishonesty is looked upon with a lot of, you know, and a person who's honest is made fun of. Arey yaar, wo to bahut Raja Harishchandra banta hai. People laugh at that. How can we make that a quality that people admire, that children admire? Caring is such an important quality that all of us need. How can we build that in children? So imagine a generation 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, which grows up on content which we have made, which evokes these feelings in them, which touches upon sensitivity, sharing as a concept. Then that generation which becomes 20 years old, imagine the economic growth it will propel. So what I'm talking about is not the economic growth of the film industry. We can make 10,000 crores or make it whatever, 20,000 crores. I don't know what we make every year in any case. But my point is that as a nation, that is an opportunity we have as an industry to transform the way that we think, the way that we address, you know, issues. If you know, we are the most modern country if you look at it from that point of view. We've got the best phones, we've got everything, the best cars, but we still have traffic jams. You look at the matrimonial columns in our newspapers, that will tell you exactly where we are. We haven't moved an inch. We haven't moved an, am I right? We haven't moved an inch.
You have a cosmopolitan ad now also for cosmopolitan girls in newspapers as well.
So I'm pointing out that somewhere, I may be wrong, but this is what I feel sometimes, that the television industry, the film industry, the media, or any creative person for that matter, here is an opportunity for us. Here is a huge opportunity for us to transform, to contribute to nation building. And I think I have never been able to think in terms of thousands of crores and you know what the industry makes and in 10 years where will we be, or in 3 years how much is the growth. I'm not able to look at it that way. It doesn't make sense to me. I guess those numbers don't somehow add up. For me, this is a big growth where you can actually change a generation of children.
No, I totally agree with you on children's content and perhaps also the way women are portrayed in Hindi films also. But Aamir, sometimes what you've said, and while of course cinema and I think all communication has a social responsibility, what happens when issues like this impact on creativity? When people start telling you what you should do? You met the IMB minister recently as well on the issue of, you know, words that are allowed and not banned. What should be seen by young Indians or by India or not? It's a thin line. I mean, people have referred to Delhi Belly and talked about that when you referred to, you know, AIB roast, not something you agree with. How do you decide about where censorship, when you say this is what India should see or this is what should be shown in films?
Actually, I'm not saying that's what India should see or what we should make in film. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's what we should do. I'm saying that's what we could do. There's a big difference in that.
Okay.
The moment I say that's what we should do, then I'm telling everyone what to do. I'm not doing that. I'm saying that's what we could do. It's an opportunity. We can either seize it or not. Each one of us as a creative person is free to make what we want. I don't have to make content which has something to offer to a society. I don't have to. I can just make you laugh. That's fine. That's also a good job in any case. Just entertaining people is a job in itself. So that's fine. But I'm just pointing out that that's what we could do. Regarding censorship, so I'm saying that I can make a film just my own creative urge that I want to make a film. It doesn't have to have a message in it. So I'm not saying that every filmmaker should suddenly start doing that. I'm just pointing out that that opportunity exists. The other thing that I want to say about, you brought up about censorship, is that there are 2-3 aspects to it. One, certainly, you know, we should, I mean, I'm totally against banning any kind of material. I'm totally against banning any kind of material. I mean, when the minister, INP minister spoke to us, he also clarified that actually the ministry has no such list of names or words that they should be used or should not be used. And he clarified that it's a certification board, not a censor board, and therefore they're just supposed to certify. So he clarified all that to us. And it was really nice to hear that. So, I mean, I didn't like a certain amount of a certain content, but I cannot like content. I mean, so many people have not liked my film. That's fine, you know. Commenting on a film, liking it, not liking it is your prerogative, anyone's prerogative. This is the prerogative of the audience or anyone seeing it. But to stop somebody is not something that is right. And certainly after a film has been through certification, then when some certain groups, you know, take to violence, take law into their own hands to stop a film, that's really, really sad and unfortunate. I think it happened with Mr. Kamal Hasan some time back. And it's really unfortunate, and I feel ashamed, Mr. Hasan, to say that, you know, at that time, I was lost in my work. But as an industry, this is the time that we have to come together and stand by each other. And I want to apologize to you publicly that I wasn't there at that time. I read about it later and I felt so bad. I felt so bad that you had to go through that and you know, we were not there with you. It's really unfortunate. So I think that banning a film is not right. I think once a film has received its certification, then it is the responsibility of the state to ensure that, you know, people can watch the film, you know, without any fear. Yeah.
You said that you don't also, these numbers sometimes confuse you, but often the news that comes out of the film industry is all about numbers. Oh, this star has made so much per film. This film has broken the 100 crore club, 200 crore club, 300 crore clubs. These were almost meaningless numbers now in a sense. Do you think it stifles what actually this industry is about?
It really does. It really does. Because what happens is, first of all, I'm not someone who talks about my numbers, because I think that that is the last thing on my mind when I'm selecting a film. The day I start selecting a film with this in mind, that this has to be a very big hit or very big success, that's the end of my creativity. That day, I won't be a creative person anymore. So I can't bring myself to think that way. Unfortunately, I do see around me a lot of us do, you know, make our choices based on what we think is going to be successful. You can do that. I mean, everyone has their own way of working, but I think that stifles. I somewhere feel that stifles, you know, it stifles the growth of the industry in a positive way. New ideas, challenging ourselves creatively is what we should be doing. And really, a lot more of us can, in fact, start looking at content for children, which I feel most of us are not doing.
Of course. Aamir Khan, it's been wonderful talking to you, and thank you so much for being here this morning. Thank you.
Aamir sir, I'm going to request you to remain on stage before we move on to the next section. And I'm truly influenced by the part of honesty that you spoke about. And thankfully my brother Manoj sir is here, and he said that, Viraf, you were so nervous because of Aamir Khan on stage, you forgot to introduce yourself. So ladies and gentlemen, my name is Viraf. I'm an actor, and I'm truly inspired and fortunate to be a part of a generation that is being influenced by a mind called Aamir Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Aamir Khan. And taking your honesty thing further, sir, when nobody is looking, when I see a rock, I try and jump off it, like you did in your Pelana Shah song. And to get going, can I call upon Dr. Arvind Prasad, Director General FICCI, for the vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen.
of a conducive infrastructure and the highest quality content. With good wishes for the next 3 days to be informative, fun-filled and exciting.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I now request Mr. Harit Nagpal, CEO and MD Tata Sky for the theme address. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Harit Nagpal, CEO and MD Tata Sky.
It's not very often that an access provider like me gets the honor of introducing a thought-provoking subject like this. We DTH platforms are like the box office, the projector. There were so many Indian brands. I'm sure you've heard names like Nirma, Gadi, Ujala, Lijjat Papad, Chic shampoos from the south. Challenged large multinational corporations only on the basis of the reach of this media. In the process, they just did not boost consumption. They actually took manufacturing and distribution to the masses. And its reach, this economic activity would not have been possible. The Prime Minister has often talked about the lower socio-economic classes can benefit from this. I've personally worked in the telecom sector for 9 years before this. I've seen the sector grow. And in the early days of telecom, we used to hear about research which said that a 10 percentage point growth in the penetration of telecom
Shri J.S. Mathur.